All right, everyone, we'll go ahead and get started with Coach. Jen, you can lead us off, followed by Todd, and then we'll open it up to the floor.
Hi, Coach. Happy Sunday. When you talk to your squad about pulling over the intensity and the effort that you played with last game, what's the message?
Well, I mean, the message is that's what you have to do all the time. I mean, you have to go out and put in a lot of effort to defend. And this team obviously is a huge, huge challenge, a great offensive team. Two of the best wing players in the league and an incredible amount of shooting on the floor, shooting 42% from three as a team. And even with Pat Bev out today, of their 10 guys leading in minutes, 7 of them are going to shoot over 40%. One is just under, another one at 39%. And then, 7 guys at 40%, one at 39, and Serge Ibaka at 36. And then, Zubac doesn't shoot threes, but, they're going to have everybody else out there is an outstanding three-point shooter. And so it's difficult, and there's no easy answers. You've just got to, compete really, really hard.
This may be redundant then, but how do you make them feel you defensively on the three-point line? You mentioned all their three-point threats, the best three-point shooting percentage team in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, right? And they've got great size too. So it's not small guys. So it's tough to really get out and contest everything. This is a well put together roster. And what we have to do is to keep from getting broken down as much as we can, because if we get broken down off the dribble and have to pull into the paint a lot, then you're going to have open shots on the perimeter. So the better job we can do on the ball, the better job our two guys in the pick and roll can do, the better chance we have of covering.
Coach, taking it back a couple of nights, and I know you have to take advantage of the situation when it comes, but how beneficial was it to get your bench guys in there for that amount of time and playing with each other, as a matter of just over 20 minutes apiece, because obviously with the lack of practice time?
Yeah, it's always good. The more minutes those guys get, young guys, the number one thing young guys need is experience. So the more of it they can get, the better.
Great segue, Coach, because talking about the Clippers, you mentioned again how talented they were, but one thing that you really don't talk a lot about is their experience. I mean, you look at their top 9, all of them have played a lot of meaningful games at the NBA, and that's got to make them doubly tough to play.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, this is a roster that was built to contend. It's a talented roster with size and skill and experience, and a great test for us today.
Hey, Coach, Andrew from ESPN here. I just want to get your thoughts on a lot of your team, the organization being able to get the vaccine, and just what does that mean for you guys moving forward?
Well, I don't know what it means for us moving forward, but it was good to be able to get it. Louisiana as a state's doing a great job with that. And so, there's a list of requirements for people over 18. Dr. Gottschalk, Aaron Nelson, those guys have been right on top of it because, they made it clear to us even in early calls that, we weren't going to skirt any of the rules. We weren't going to jump the line, but we would look for our opportunities to get in. And we did that. So, I think it's good. And hopefully we can, participate in promoting people getting the vaccine when it's available to them, because I think it's our way out of this whole thing.
Yeah, Coach, and I'm not actually to name any names here, but I know for some players there's been a hesitation as far as wanting to get the vaccine or not. Is that something you guys talked about as a team? Did you guys bring anyone in to talk to those guys about that? I guess, how did you approach that, doing it as an entire team?
Yeah, Dr. Gottschalk's talked to him. The medical director from the NBA has talked to him, talked to us as a group on a Zoom call, trying to give them the facts on the vaccines, the different vaccines, and encouraging them to take it. But at the end of the day, obviously it's an individual decision.
Hey, Sam, Mark Medina here with USA Today. Good to see you. I have a random question here, but I was just asking folks around the league. Do you have a favorite moment with the fans, or, as far as an interaction goes, or the atmosphere over your coaching years? And if so, what is it?
Wow, I'd have to give that some thought. Certainly hasn't come this year, Mark.
Yeah.
With nobody in the building. So now I off the top of my head, I don't. So I just don't. Sorry.
Hey, Coach, Jamie Maggio with the Clippers broadcast. Just wondering what you remember of Luke Kennard when you guys were together in Detroit.
Well, first of all, really skilled, can dribble, pass, and shoot, and a good decision maker. I mean, knows when to dribble, pass, and shoot, and that's what sets good players apart. Very, very versatile guy, and a guy that's great to play with, really knows how to play, and everything else. I have said publicly that, one of the mistakes I think I made on the coaching side there was not playing him more right away. He had some defensive deficiencies when he came in the league, but they weren't that major, and he really could have helped us on the offensive end. I should have played him more minutes. He's a very, very good player, and for the Clippers to be able to bring him off the bench, I think shows you how deep and talented they are.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, just one more regarding the vaccine. I know Nico went out and stated he had it and is trying to encourage people. Would you encourage the players to be more vocal about them getting it and trying to encourage others?
As far as the players speaking out on anything, Andrew, I think that's their decision. And so I wouldn't push them in any direction either way. It's the same on whether it's social justice issues or anything. I think people have to speak out on the things that they believe in and they think are important and that they feel compelled to talk about. I don't think anybody necessarily has a duty to speak out on anything, but they certainly have the freedom to. So it's an individual decision that I wouldn't push on people, but I think, the people who do speak out, it's helpful. And I think it's a good thing because the more people, in my opinion, more people we can encourage to get vaccinated, the better off all of us are going to be. And it seems to me it's really our only way to get past this whole experience with COVID and be able to open up more and to keep people safe. So hopefully a lot of people will get it, but who speaks out and who doesn't is up to them.
And I know the score kind of got out of hand in the second half of that last game, but there was a stretch in the second and the third quarter where you went with a lineup with no Zion and no BI with that second group. Was that something you guys wanted to look at, or was that just the way the minutes played out in that particular game?
I mean, it's different every game a little bit, but, I think sometimes what I've done, because I want to keep one of those guys on the floor the whole time, is I've, maybe push their minutes a little too hard, BI and Zion, and especially on the second night of a back-to-back. So we wanted to make sure that I was a little bit stricter in the rotation. And if Zion had to come out before we should bring BI back, that we would play without both of them it was just a couple of minutes, but when we need to do that, we will.
Stan, this is Law Murray from The Athletic. Last time you saw the Clippers, Nikhil had an amazing game, like 37 points. And obviously some guys were out. Zion was out, starting backcourt was out. But how do you get a guy to kind of reduplicate at least a level of efficiency with his opportunities when, he's not going to have as much volume to try and reduplicate that kind of performance?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different role for him. That night he had the ball in his hands all the time and knew he was going to play big minutes. And so you tend to relax a little bit. His efficiency has not been the same, but hopefully now as he's in there and getting consistent minutes, he can get back to being a little bit more efficient because we need that. And he's a guy offensively who can create, who can get in the paint, who can create his own shot, who can play out of pick and rolls. We could really use him to get going, and he has the talent to create shots. He just needs to be more efficient.
Back on the vaccine, you're now saying that it's an individual decision, but you've been very critical in recent weeks on people who were making the so-called anti-science decision. I wonder why, in this case, you think things are different, and why you don't feel you should push them to get a vaccine.
Well, no. Listen, I think that, we have to, whether we agree or not, man, I don't want to get too controversial here, but we have to understand where the reticence on trusting medical science comes from, particularly in the Black community. We need to understand where that comes from. We've done some, as a government, as an establishment, we've done some pretty, bad things. And so over time, there's people out there who remember experiments and things done on people of color without their consent, and there's not a trust level. So I think that's a little bit different. Yeah. And then it gets passed down through generations and everything else. And whether we agree with that or not, you have to understand it, I think.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.